organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, find out why poverty is on the rise in Iowa City.
Plus, big changes ahead for one city council candidate. We'll tell you who next.
And in sports, women's basketball held its annual media day with one notable absence.
That's all coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for tuning in to your Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television news, sports, and weather for the Daily Iowan. I'm Dana Davidson.
And I'm John Dedcott. All indications are that poverty is on the rise in Iowa City. The Johnson County Crisis Center has seen an increase in visits to its food bank and a higher demand for economic assistance. The Emergency Assistance Program, which helps qualified households pay bills, has seen a 75% increase in people seeking assistance over the last 2 years. In an average week, between 55 and 60 households will request assistance from the program, but officials say they only have the means to help roughly 17 families. The homeless shelter has also seen an increase in demand. Officials there say that despite a new facility which holds 70 beds, they often have to turn people away, sometimes as many as 30 in a given night. Officials say the increase in the number of people seeking assistance is particularly troubling as funding is being cut and cold weather is approaching.
City Council candidate Raj Patel has dropped out of the UI. In a statement released in his campaign on Monday, Patel says that the following strong finish in his last week's primary, he wants to focus on his campaign, saying, quote, remaining enrolled in classes at the University of Iowa was no longer in the best interest of maintaining a strong GPA, and I have since removed myself from all courses, end quote. Patel stirred up controversy earlier this year when he alleged that UI officials forced him to resign from his position as City Council liaison for the UI student government. Patel will continue to take classes full-time at Kirkwood College.
And kids may now be diagnosed with ADHD as young as 4 years old. The American Academy of Pediatrics expanded its guidelines for diagnosing and treating the disorder to children between the ages of 4 and 18, whereas previous guidelines only targeted children from 6 to 12. Nationally, ADHD cases are on the rise. BUI researchers have done their part, developing a groundbreaking medication back in 2007 that helped relieve symptoms in adults.
Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, find out how some visiting artists are bringing the Tibetan culture to the UI.
And Fran McCaffrey still has to do some tweaking with his lineup. We'll take a look at position battles on the UI basketball team. But first, Daily Iowan TV's Allie Holtkamp joins us in the studio for a look at your local weather forecast. Allie?
All right, thanks guys. It's finally that time of the year to pack away the shorts and t-shirts, as these cooler autumn temps don't look like they're going anywhere. Today was one of the chilliest days yet this fall, and it may have been a rude awakening for those enjoying the unusually warm October temperatures we've seen the last couple of weeks. It looks to get even cooler throughout the week. However, you can expect a slight reprise for Saturday's homecoming football game. But first, let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Tuesday morning will be very cold with 41 degrees around 9 o'clock. We'll see a little bit of cloud cover move in the afternoon, and the daily high will be 52. And you may want to consider just staying in tomorrow evening. It's going to be very chilly at 43 degrees. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, things are still looking pretty bad. Skies should be pretty clear toward Friday, but we won't break from the 60-degree mark until this weekend. And hopefully we should start off next week a little warmer than this one. That's your check on the weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Allie. Now, educators hope to track the progress in state schools' children more effectively thanks to new tests developed by UI researchers. A team from the UI's College of Education partnered with the state to develop the Iowa Assessment. This is a set of tests to replace the outdated Iowa Test of Basic Skills. Last year, over 360,000 students were tested across Iowa, and high school students began taking this new test on Monday.
Exiled artists hoping to share Tibetan culture open a new exhibit at the UI on Monday. Daily Iowan TV's Josh Bolander was there to tell us how they hope to share stories of struggle through art.
Like the art program that overcame the obstacles presented by the devastating 2008 flood, the University of Iowa Museum of Art hosted 2 Tibetan artists Monday night who spoke on the hardships they faced due to the government exiling of their peers.
Told that my writings and the activism of the Tibetan Youth Congress, who are harming Chinese Tibetan relations, they actually named me by name.
Despite resistance from those opposing their artistic views and opinions, each have seen their work featured worldwide and spoke candidly on how they were perceived by those who viewed their work as detrimental.
They just don't know how real a pleasure it used to be.
Even with the brief moments of humor, the event, Shadowing Tibet, offered plenty of advice and thought for those who packed the lecture hall.
There's still a little light just ahead of you, so you take advantage of it to go on a little further.
The UI plans to continue their lecture series tomorrow at the University of Iowa Main Library. Josh Bolander, Daily Iowan TV.
Although still undergoing renovations related to the 2008 floods, Art Building West was recently recognized by the BBC as one of the top academic buildings in the world.
This is National Teen Driver Safety Week, and the UI researchers are trying to figure out exactly what role parents play in keeping their kids safe behind the wheel. A recently released UI study shows that in 90% of cases, a parent is involved in teaching their son or daughter to drive. But as many of you may guess, the conversations between parents and children about driving are often the most stressful. The study shows that teens are often likelier to develop safer driver habits if the parents who communicate effectively.
And now Daily Iowan TV Sports' Ian Martin is in the sports studio with a preview of the women's basketball season. Ian?
All right, thanks, guys. Bluter's Bunch is back. The Iowa women's basketball team debuted its latest squad today at Carver Hawkeye Arena during the team's annual media day. But the biggest story wasn't who was there, but rather who was absent. Without last year's star guard, Kasheen Alexander, the team still returns 4 other starters, though, something the head coach is more than confident in.
And everybody says, oh my gosh, you lost Kasheen. But we returned 4 starters. That's pretty good. And then you think, okay, they're a real veteran team. But then you think, well, we have 5 freshmen on this team. That's a lot of freshmen. But then you think of those freshmen, and those freshmen are pretty darn good.
And that notable crop of underclassmen includes top 10 recruit Samantha Logic, a guard from Racine, Wisconsin. Aside from Logic, though, there's still 4 other first-year players on the roster for 2011, and the quintet have already pushed the practices to new heights.
Our intensity in practice has been great. I think Melissa Dixon does a great job coming in and hustling, I think we have a great team chemistry right now and pushing each other and having the freshmen push the upperclassmen and such.
And with the young and old alike sharing the floor, there's a lot of players competing for time on the hardwood. But that's not a bad thing, says the head coach, because after the team's summer trip to Europe, she's confident in all 12 players on her roster.
It is one of the more talented groups of people coming off the bench, and that's what we saw in Europe that was so much fun, is that you could just keep bringing weapons off the bench, and they bring a different dimension too when they come in.
But all good groups need leaders. Perhaps that's where Cash Alexander will be missed the most, but according to the team's highly touted freshman, this season's leadership by committee is working out fine.
She definitely took that role in the summer as being captain. Like I said to someone else, our other 2 captains, Megan and Kelly, they're, all 3 of them, they lead differently, but they're all definitely leaders.
The team still has about 3 weeks until its first matchup, an exhibition against Winona State, before they start the regular season at home on November 12th against Harvard. And with a lot of new faces for the ladies, the men also return a large amount of veteran players. And with the season quickly approaching, there are still some adjustments to be made by Fran McCaffrey and his staff. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Tyler Cover has the details.
Interesting news came Thursday from Fran McCaffrey's Media Day press conference when the head coach was asked about whether the starting 3 spot was still up in the air.
Yeah, the 3 position is up for grabs, absolutely.
That battle for the starting 3 spot this season now is between junior Eric May and sophomore Devin Marble. May started every game as a freshman when the Hawkeyes were still coached by Todd Licklider and began last year under Fran as a starter as well. When he injured his groin going into a home date with Ohio State, however, Marble got the start. From that game on last season, May was not the same player he showed he could be.
He wasn't really the same after that in terms of, I think, how he felt about himself. He had a couple bad games and he struggled with his confidence.
His confidence looked shaken, many times passing up open shots and settled in as a role player on the team. Marble, on the other hand, seized his starting opportunity, emerging as a streaky scoring figure. Now going into his second season, the sophomore is feeling more confident than ever.
I'm not a three-point shooter, but if it swings and I'm open, I'm going to still shoot this, take the shot, and I'm still going to have confidence in making it.
Head coach Fran McCaffrey isn't about to lose all hope for May, however, after he showed strong off-season improvement.
What I'm seeing now is somebody more confident in himself. He's in absolutely phenomenal shape physically. He's 221. I mean, he can run for days. And
Whichever player the starting spot goes to, the competition every day in practice can only benefit the 2011-2012 Hawkeye basketball team. Tyler Culver, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
And the guys will have a doubleheader exhibition after the women's matchup against Winona State before they open the season on November 11th against Chicago State. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk, John and Dana.
Thanks, Ian. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Tuesday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about how Iowa City residents hit hard by the poor economy are turning to Craigslist to find work. Plus, find out how protesters from the ongoing Occupy Iowa City event are balancing work and activism.
And before we go, here's one last look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 52 degrees with a low of 41, and it'll be partly cloudy.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
For Daily Iowan TV, thanks for watching and have a great day.